Nothing makes it harder to move house than overpricing, overvaluing. Nothing makes it harder to sell your house than overvaluing. And nothing makes overvaluing worse more than Rightmove's asking price index. Let me just say that again. It's so important. And in this video, I will spell out exactly why the commentary and narrative that comes out with the Rightmove house price index, which they put out today, citing record house prices, is directly hurting people's ability to move and estate agents' businesses. And even Rightmove themselves are admitting that it's taking up to 7 months now to get a deal agreed. It's everything about this asking price index of Rightmove's makes moving harder, and it's totally unnecessary and totally unhelpful and completely misleading and completely irrelevant. Okay, allow me to explain. So, on the news today, we have the following headlines. UK house prices hit record high in May. That is a factually incorrect headline, right? That is an incorrect statement. The very first one there. So UK house prices hit record high in May. No, this is a straightforward mischaracterization of what Rightmove's done. Reuters, asking prices, okay, correct. Asking prices for UK homes hit record high, Rightmove says. That is not a factually incorrect headline from Reuters' point of view, but it is misleading based on what Rightmove has said. And I will explain why. I'll explain everything I'm saying here. The Guardian, average British house price hits record high. This is not true. Okay, that is a factually incorrect and very misleading statement. And it is headlines like that that are making the housing market worse for people who need to move house. House prices lift to record highs in May. Wrong. Mortgage Finance Gazette, average house prices continue to rise. Wrong. House prices are not asking prices. This is misleading, and it's making sellers think that the house is worth more. House prices hit new high amid spring selling surge. Wrong. Rightmove, quote, Money Week quotes, Rightmove, asking prices hit record high. At least they've mentioned asking prices. But even that statement, asking prices hit record high, is misleading, because the factually correct statement is the average asking price, or the average of all asking prices, hits record high. But some asking prices are going up, some are going down, but it's the average that's going to hit a record high. Housing Today, house prices rise in May, says Rightmove. No, they didn't say that. They said asking prices rose. But people up and down the country and estate agents will seize on this to support their overvaluing. Average house price hits new house price tag. Okay, that's asking price. And Shares Magazine, UK house prices hit record high. And so when you go to Google and Google Rightmove's May house price index, and every single one of the results on page 1 is misleading to one extent or another, you can forgive people for thinking all of those news sites are saying the same. Okay, all of those news sites are saying the same because they are all quoting Rightmove's house price index. And this video is to try to make everyone who watches it, buyer, seller, agent, journalist, anyone, understand that Rightmove's house price index is the single most harmful thing in terms of how easy it is to move house in the UK right now. And I will explain why. So let's just have a look at what the actual Rightmove release says, because this is also full of complete and utter horse poo. The largest monthly sample of residential property prices and housing market activity. No, it's a large sample of asking prices, and it isn't the largest one because even the best agent one is bigger. This is the largest sample of monthly, so newly listed properties, perhaps currently. But this is why it's misleading and unhelpful. 0.8% monthly price rise in May as sellers continue to show confidence this spring. This is not seller confidence. This is seller misunderstanding. So that's the monthly change on last month. Asking prices. But they're saying prices are 0.6% higher than a year ago. And again, this is an overall average. It's a meaningless, unhelpful figure. And it's asking prices. And I'm about to show you that the gap between asking prices and sold prices has got way bigger, meaning that even though the average asking price figure might be increasing, it does not mean that selling prices are increasing. And then they've got this apparently very good news. 17% increase in sales agreed during the first 4 months of this year versus last year. So 2 things about that. Last year was the lowest year for over 10 years. So it's an increase from a low base. And secondly, this is not showing fall throughs. This is sales agreed before fall throughs. And as Rightmove goes on to say, the actual transaction time is extremely long. And the longer they are, the bigger the fall through. Record asking prices driven by pent-up demand. Okay, let's accept the fact for the minute that the average asking price, as in the average of all asking prices of houses that came to the market in May, really important to distinguish that from what the rest of the market is doing, because there are price reductions across the rest of the houses that have been on the market for more than 1 month. But okay, the average of all asking prices of all newly listed properties only in May, excluding any of them that had price reductions after a week or 2, let's say that is a record asking price, right? A record figure. The second half of this sentence is total. I'm finding it very, very hard not to swear in this video. I really want to swear a lot. My frustration level is level 10. Because this publication itself, every month, just sticks a knife into the chances of housing transactions picking up and making it easy for people to move, and twists it again and again. And I don't even know why they do it, other than the fact that Rightmove's biggest clients love this narrative because it helps them with their strategy of deliberate overvaluing to win business. The record asking prices are not driven by pent-up demand. Demand doesn't drive asking prices. Demand drives actual sold prices, correct. Demand doesn't drive asking prices. What's driving asking prices is the relentless overvaluing being done by most agents across the country, because most agents aren't good enough to win instructions without lying to the sellers about what their house is worth. Let me make that statement again. Most estate agents are not good enough at their job to win business, to win a seller's instruction, without lying to their face in their front room about what their house is worth. Of those agents that are lying to sellers in their front room about what their house is worth, the worst offenders know they're doing it and they don't care. They just don't care. They'll sign you up to a long-term agency contract. They get paid a bonus. They're a listing. They're paid for listings. They don't care. And you're never going to see that person again. To give some due credit to the rest of the agents who are doing it, they're mostly doing it reluctantly. They don't want to lie to sellers to get business. They simply have no choice. But the very best agents are able to go in there and explain that what agents might think your house is worth is of absolutely no fucking consequence whatsoever to what you might actually get for the house. Okay? It is a red herring. And what the really good agents will explain is the market's changing. It's a difficult market. It's a buyer's market. The only way to find out what the best price achieved for your house in this market is to make sure we bring your house to the market very carefully and get it just right so that we get the maximum amount of interest at the launch, which is the fastest way to get the best available price for your house in the shortest time. And they will make sellers understand that what some numpty, tarred agent lies about your overvaluing, about the house's stupid overvalue, sorry, I'm losing my words here, is irrelevant. It's not what should be discussing. And in fact, when you look at how long it's taking to sell houses now, the intelligent question sellers should ask agents is, how long are you taking to get your home sold? What percentage of the homes you're listing are you actually selling? How many of them are actually falling through? These are the only relevant questions a seller should be asking an agent. Asking, what do you think my home is worth, is like saying, I have no idea about the selling process, which is fine. There's no reason the seller should understand the selling process, okay? But I want sellers and agents to understand that the conversation should be about what is the safest way to get this house sold at the best price in the shortest time. That is all that matters. Sorry, I've gone off on a rant. Let me come back to what they're saying. It's very, very hard. But record asking prices are not driven by pent-up demand. Asking prices aren't driven by demand. They're driven by Rightmove's stupid overpricing index. The average price of property coming to the market for sale reaches a new record. Okay, yes, the average of all the asking prices of properties coming to the market in May reaches a new record. As the momentum of the spring selling season exerts modest upward price pressure. No, that's not true. The market remains price sensitive. All right. Well, I'm glad that that's the second bullet point there. But it's not a powerful enough statement to counteract the rest of the always up guff. Top of the ladder sector is still leading price growth with average asking prices. So this is asking prices of the higher end properties, the bigger detached houses. Pent up demand from would-be buyers who paused their plans last year is a key driver behind increased home mover activity, despite mortgage rates remaining elevated for longer than anticipated. I mean, yes, there is pent-up demand from would-be buyers. The reason there's pent-up demand from would-be buyers is because they've been waiting for prices to get realistic, which they won't do when Rightmove keeps putting out this guff about prices being record highs. The number of sales being agreed in the first months of the year is 70% higher than last year. Yes. Outstripping the 12% increase in the number of new sellers coming to the market. So this is misleading because these are not comparable metrics. A 12% increase in the number of new sellers coming to the market compared to last year's high is, I'm not going to go into it, it's too boring, but basically that is not comparing apples and apples. It makes it sound better than it is. It makes it sound like everything's fine. Despite these positive lead indicators for higher transaction levels this year, the painful average of 154 days between agreeing a sale and legal completion remains a challenge for both agents and movers. But we don't care because we're Rightmove and we get paid a fixed monthly subscription by our agents, no matter how much they sell or don't sell, so we don't care. Yet, Rightmove's asking price index is directly contributing to this painful average because more and more buyers are realizing once their offer's been accepted that they are overpaying. I know that because I get buyers saying that to me every single day. So 154 days between sale agreed and completion. And then 62 days needed to find a buyer before that. So that's 7 months. Would-be sellers hoping to be in a new home for Christmas need to be taking action now. I think it's already too late. If you haven't got your house on the market now at a sensible price, this is the average time. And most people, there is a distorted amount of people taking longer than that. And overpricing makes all of this worse. Overpricing makes this worse. 62 days on average need to find a new buyer. Now, I'm going to quickly skip here to a graph from Christopher Watkin, who does the weekly stats show for the property industry. Okay, this is very, very important because it proves asking prices are way higher than normal above sold prices or average selling prices when prices agreed. I'm going to zoom in on this so you can really see it. This graph, the red line on this graph shows the average listing price, and the orange line shows the average sale agreed price, but it's not the agreed price, it is the asking price when the sale is agreed. This data doesn't have the actual sold price data in it. And look at what he says at the top of the page. This is so important. Average asking price of this week's listings versus the average asking price of properties that have sale agreed this week is a 24%, nearly 25% gap. 25% gap, everybody. Please, wakey, take your hand off your snakey and think about what that data means. The long-term average gap between asking price and sale agreed asking price is 16 to 17%. But last week, it was nearly 25%. Nearly 25%. That's the first piece of proof that you need that asking prices are a complete distraction from the conversation that should be being had by people who want to actually sell their house. Chris goes on to say, overvaluing in the whole of the UK, higher valuing properties for sale, brackets downsizing, and lower propensity of London South East properties selling, causing this. Okay, now I know because Chris has told me this is a metric he's very concerned about because it spells bad news for transaction volumes. It's making it harder and harder and harder to agree prices. But record prices, everybody, because Rightmove said so, right? Record prices, record prices, record prices. It's everywhere. All the headlines, record prices. And so can you blame sellers for believing the absolute specimens of estate agents going around there and lying to their faces about overvaluing when all of the headlines that these sellers are seeing is record prices, record prices? Of course, those sellers are going to be so easy to convince that their house really is worth that much money. Now, Rightmove says transaction price is 70% up on this year. Now, they're talking about sale agreed, not actual transactions. They're talking about sale agreed. Let's have a look at HMRC's actual property transactions. So this is the ones that actually can complete. This is 2021, 2022, 2023. So it's goes back about 3 years. The last 3 or 4 years. All right. Now I've put a link to this page below so you can go and check it. Right. UK residential property transactions by month between March 21 and March 24 for the last 3 years. Please do not believe this absolute. So the green line is non-seasonally adjusted. The red line is seasonally adjusted. All right. But when you see headlines like 17% bounce in transactions being agreed, you think, wow, the market must be really good. Everything must be fine. Go and look at this. This is cold, hard data from the people who collect stamp duty or have to agree that a transaction is not, doesn't need to pay stamp duty. There it is. Those are the actual transaction volumes. And they are down here at around the 84,000 level. There's a full commentary on this. This was published on the 30th of April, about 3 weeks ago. Okay. And I also want to show you this graph down here. And this is for the last 10 years. Just look at the numbers on here, all right? Never mind the comparison between seasonally and non-seasonally. That's not the point. I wanted to look at the actual numbers of monthly transactions. 91,000, 90, 171, 105, 95, 95, 86, 90, 174, 175,000. So here we are down here at 84,000. Right? Those are the most recent figures for March 2024. Provisional estimates, but they are the lowest for 10 years. So when Rightmove tells you transaction volumes, it's all up, everything, record prices, 70% lift in transaction volumes, that is the truth of what's happening with actual transaction volumes. Yes, there's a delay on the transaction time for those volumes, but that's what's completed in March, all right? And what this should tell you is, because there's no official data for the fall through between sales that are agreed and then fail and sales that are agreed and then complete. There's no official data. Guess why? Pop quiz, everybody. Guess why estate agents don't publish data on the actual number of fall throughs that happen? Because the estate agents with the largest market share of properties for sale are often, not always, but often the ones with the worst failure rate, the worst deal fall through rate, because they stick it on Rightmove, they find you a flaky buyer, they tie up the deal, and guess what? The buyer pulls out for any number of list of reasons. Change their mind, can't get a mortgage, whatever. But those agents don't publish that, and they don't publish it because if they did, they would be out of business overnight. All those agents with the big volume agents with the low fees and the really high value for your house are often, not always, often the worst performers at actually getting deals done. If you are a seller and you think about that, you shouldn't go near them with a barge pole. And the only question you should be asking those agents is, what's your failure rate? What's your failure rate? What's your failure rate? What is the fall through rate for you? What is the actual number of properties that you complete on sales compared to how many you list? That is the only question sellers should be focusing on asking an agent. And if you get, and they will waffle and they will guff and they will spin and they will dodge and they will duck and they will dive and anything to avoid telling the truth. And if they don't, what you need to hear from an agent when they ask you that question is, well, it's tough out there, but we're proud to say that we've got the highest success rate of instructed to sold of any of our competitors. Look at the numbers. Here are our numbers, right? And if an agent doesn't do that, it's because their number is shit. And you shouldn't go near them. For those of you watching me for the first time wondering why I'm so frustrated, even if you ignore what actual house prices are doing, what everyone who moves home needs is the ability to move home. That's all they need, the ability to move home. Well, right now, that's taking an average of 7 months. Average, right? So for a lot of people, that's more than that. The lucky ones who get a good agent, it's less than that. Right now, it is shockingly difficult to move home. And it's shockingly difficult for agents trying to get you to move home. And this Rightmove House Price Index just makes it worth. It's like a monthly punch in the face from Rightmove for agents and movers. Hey, this is this month's record punch in the face. We don't care. We're a record profit-making company. We get our money whether you sell or not. We get our money whether you estate agents getting paid or not. Rightmove gets its money. So we don't care about you guys and whether you can move or not. But in our annual report, it says Rightmove's focus is to make moving house easier. Well, if it was, you would cancel this house price index today. Let me keep going. Sorry. Can you tell I care about this? This agents' businesses are being destroyed by this. People's chances of moving home are being destroyed by this. And when every single gullible publication and media publication just parrots Rightmove's words on a monthly basis like this, it's impossible to get people to see straight. Now, this is the sentence that the newspapers should be focusing on. This is back on the Rightmove report. Let me read this out to you. Please take note of this. Rightmove's analysis shows that properties that need an asking price reduction because you overvalued them to begin with, sorry, that's not what it says there, but that's the only reason you need an asking price reduction, take more than 3 times longer to find a buyer as those that do not. Rightmove's analysis shows that properties that need an asking price reduction take more than 3 times longer to find a buyer as those that do not. Do you want to wait 1 month to find a buyer, or do you want to wait 3 months to find a buyer? Because the average is 2 months, right? And what that says to me is buyers who price correctly the first time are finding a buyer and getting a sale agreed within 1 month, and those who have to reduce the price are waiting 3 to 4 months. Rightmove's own data. That should be copied and pasted and plastered everywhere. Giving sellers who price right from the outset the edge to sell more quickly. Yes, that's true, Rightmove. And so why do you keep on going about insisting on puffing up asking price expectations more than anyone else? This is their get out of jail free bullet point. Well, we did say that, it does say that. If you read the whole thing, it does say that. Yes, but headlines are read something like 100 times more often than articles are read. Literally, a headline is read 100 times when the article gets read once. I don't know what the actual figure is, but it's something crazy like that. National average asking price. We're not going to go into that because it's fucking pointless. Just pointless. The only thing that's different, worth looking at, is the difference in the change between the top and the bottom. And there you have it, right? That column there, the change between April and May. The top of the ladder have had the biggest price increase. I think that's because there are more and more people putting their houses in the market. They don't give us that breakdown. They don't give us the distribution of what proportion of their index is made up of first-time buyer type properties versus second steppers versus top of the ladder. If they did, that would help. All right, guys. This is exactly why I'm having Best Agent Day on the 27th of June. The whole focus of Best Agent Day is to end overvaluing, to end this monthly punch in the face from Rightmove, to end this practice that's killing estate agencies' business, to end this practice that results in agents lying to sellers' faces multiple times daily, to end this practice killing transaction volumes, to end the overvaluing that's killing social mobility. And on the 27th of June, Best Agent Day is the day that if enough agents come and want to get together to do this, we could discredit this stupid house price index overnight, once and for all, for good. If you're an agent watching this, I've also linked below to the registration date. It's an online conference for any agent. It's free to attend. If you want to stop overvaluing and you want your pipeline to come back to life, make sure you turn up on that day. All right, the link is below. Otherwise, just Google Best Agent Day and you'll find the link to that registration event. All right, guys. Hello in the comments. I haven't had a look there yet. Luke, Ben Chesterman, Mark Graham. Yes, Mark Graham quite rightly calls it fake news. It is fake news. Lazy journalism, says Jessica Searle. Yep. Catherine Elaine, Total Eclipse. Hi, guys. Do we have any questions on this topic? John Springett says, I should be working, but I had to watch this. The market is really, really fucked. Rightmove are utterly ridiculous. Like, I don't object to Rightmove's existence. Rightmove's website is convenient and helpful and useful and interesting. And Rightmove does generate a lot of inquiries for agents. It's just this stupid overpricing index. If they just stopped that and instead started to publish the full details of asking prices, like we do on Best Agent News, allow me to show you. You find this on bestagent.news. Right? This is bestagent.news. And I know many of you have seen this before, but for those of you who haven't, I've separated out the prices of sale agreed from for sale. You can see this wild difference of nearly £60,000 between the median and £110,000 difference between the average asking prices of stuff that's sale agreed and stuff that's for sale on the second row there, right? And I've shown the actual number involved. That's just for England. It's not the UK, that's just England. George Dixon says, hello, young Charlie, you look wonderful today. Do you no longer see UK property as a decent long-term investment? I sometimes struggle to know whether these questions are a wind-up or not. I think this is a wind-up because I think George has been watching the channel for a while. No, UK property has not been a good long-term investment for a long time because once adjusted for inflation, actual value increases have been negligible. And for a lot of people, they've been not even negligible, they've been negative. Tarek A on YouTube says, many sellers are not able to lower prices because of the borrowing. It's only probate sellers and high equity sellers, don't you think? Right, so this is a very, very frequently raised topic. If you are not able to lower your price to within reach of what buyers can afford, then you simply won't sell. And so, yes, you're correct. It is the case that many sellers can't lower their prices because they would be in negative equity. They wouldn't be able to sell. And if you can stay there and you can afford to keep your mortgage payment, then you've got a home, and that's fine. You've got negative equity, which is bad, but it means you're stuck in your home. It's only probate sales and high equity sellers that can drop prices. So you're talking about cash, people with no borrowings and probate sales. Obviously, if you don't have debts to pay off from the sale of your house, you've got more flexibility in lowering your asking price. But the one fallacy that sellers need to get rid of is this idea that, well, this is what I need for it, or this is what I want for it, and think that that makes any difference to what you're going to get for it. Barry Crump says, in a falling market where transactions are taking 7 months, could you make an offer subject to market conditions? You can make that. You can always make that. What's better to do is make sure that your offer contains reasonable timings on it. So if you're buying a home at the seller and there's a chain, the seller's got to find another one to buy. You should agree that the offer you're making is good for a certain period of time. But if it goes beyond that, then you reserve the right to reconsider the offer in light of what the market is doing. That's reasonable as long as you're open about it and upfront about it. Elaine says, as cash buyers, we are seeing so much overvaluing, making it difficult to offer. Yeah, but it does make it difficult to offer. Just offer. Just make your offer. Robert Harper says, been trying to sell my house for a year now. Okay, Robert. Can you give us more information? Like, have you changed agents? Have you dropped your price? How many times have you dropped your price? What do you think stopping your house from selling? Do you feel like you were a victim of estate agents lying about the value? Was your expectation on price influenced by Rightmove? Because that's the other thing that Rightmove does, is that sellers look at other. I mean, I actually know of a personal example of someone who recently put their house on the market, and they used their neighbour's asking price of the house that wasn't selling to set their asking price. I know these to be intelligent people in other areas of their life, but when it comes to selling homes, intelligent people just seem to go all cuckoo. Suddenly decide to trust estate agents they don't trust on anything else. My house is worth 900,000, but I had an honest agent tell me it's only worth 650,000. Must be an idiot. Amasmus says, I went to view 2 properties this weekend, both of which previous had deals that had fallen through. A lot of that happening. Nick Who says the market is in urgent need of reform. Agreed. However, as per last Friday's news, the only thing that the government was going to do to reform the market was this thing called ROPA, the Regulation of Property Agents. And they've now said, which they've been trying to do for 5 years, and they've now said, sorry, not happening. Clayton James says, it's like a painful death, but worse. Agents just say to me, the offer has to be close to us asking, that's what we say it is. That's what agents will always say. That's what agents will always say. You just have to ignore it and make your offer. All right, guys, listen, I've got to, so for agents watching this, I'm about to do a couple of videos just for agents about overvaluing. I'm going to be doing them. Okay, Robert Harper, thank you. Robert says, so Robert Harper was the chap who says he's been trying to sell his house for a year. Started at 420,000, dropped 3 times now over the last year to 370,000. Very little interest. Property in West Sussex. So Robert, how? I mean, it's very kind of you to be open about this. How do you feel about the way your expectations were set on price? Do you think you were trying to sort of push your luck a bit, or were you completely? Was it because you had 3 estate agents all telling you the same price? That's a big. I mean, that's a £50,000 drop. So you've dropped your price now, well over 10%. Sort of 10, 12%. You've dropped it now. I'm assuming you haven't had any offers accepted and the deal fall through. You just haven't actually managed to get a deal agreed. Have you changed agents? And if not, when you do change agents, if it goes too low, are you just not going to sell, or do you need to sell? These are all questions I'd love to ask you. Yeah. Lynn Hotlegs says, Rightmove are ridiculous. Next door to me was for sale with Rightmove. I mean, Rightmove don't set the prices, but they influence them very badly. And unfortunately, the worst of the lying, overvaluing, idiot estate agents, the worst of them, there are agents who overvalue reluctantly. I'm not using the idiot label for you guys because I understand that it's incredibly difficult, and you just can't get the property to sell when you're working against agents who are knowingly, deliberately, grossly overvaluing and locking people into long solidity contracts. I've got one more story to tell you about how. So this is why my whole shtick, my whole message is about sellers choosing your agent like your future depends on it. There is a real minority of agents who really are skillful enough and good enough to actually get your house sold quickly. They're the real minority. And at the opposite end of the spectrum, at the worst case estate agents, you get some who are so patently stupid, they're doing themselves out of income. I had someone ring me up in the last couple of days, a mortgage broker, who told me that they had just got a mortgage approved for a buyer, and the buyer had their offer accepted on a property being sold by a small agent, and that agent, so the lender had to send their surveyor around to do a survey on the property for valuation purposes. The house was 11 miles from the estate agent's office, and it was empty, and so the keys needed to be collected. And the lender's valuer said, someone needs to meet me at the property with the keys to let me in. The agent said, no, we're not doing that. The broker rang the agent and said, how are we supposed to sell the house if you can't let the valuer in to do the valuation so that the transaction can proceed? Oh, no, we're too busy for that. Imagine being the seller of this house. Your agent going, no, we're too busy for that. Why don't you just go and get another lender that will come and pick the keys up? The agent actually said to the broker, why don't you just get another lender? Go through the whole application process again. Go through for probably a higher rate. And it's not going to change the fact that the surveyors don't go around spending an hour's round trip drive picking up keys. And at the moment, that deal looks like it's going to fall through because the agent is refusing to meet the lender's valuer at the property to let them into the valuation. And there's nothing more expensive for an estate agent. Actually, nothing more expensive for an estate agent. Nothing loses them more money than a deal falling through. And I've met those kinds of agents over the years, and my years of pitching stuff to estate agents. You can't help those guys. I just don't understand how they get any business. Right, guys. Thanks for watching. More soon. I've now got to focus on doing some videos for agents, just for agents, to get in depth about this overvaluing problem and how we fix it. Thanks for watching. Robert Harper's coming back. Had a couple of offers, but both fell through. No, I think the initial value was in the ballpark. House was valued by 3 different agents. All right. So this is exactly the problem. So many sellers think that because 3 different agents all valued it roughly the same, that must be what it's worth. And those sellers, like Robert here, it's not an unreasonable thing. If all 3 agents agree on the value, they must be right. I mean, that's what they do, right? Why would they overvalue it? Why would they all overvalue it? If they're all overvaluing it, it must be the real reason. It must be the real valuation. What they don't understand is that the reason that they're all overvaluing it is because if they don't, they won't get the business, and they want the business more than anything else. Yes. On that happy note. So guys, buyers, movers, sellers, wherever I can help you, please go to my website, mhwc.co.uk. Talk to my mortgage brokers there. Make sure you've got your mortgage, your conveyancing, your property search pack lined up before you offer. If you want to book time, I know I've got several of you who've booked time with me. I haven't had a chance to get to you yet. I'm coming to you. You can book a 1-hour session with me on buymeacoffee.com/mhwc, 30 minutes or 1 hour. And make sure you got your conveyancers as well. And if you're a seller, there's news out today about the changes in the law. I will finish my video with this. If you're a seller, choose your conveyancer before you choose your agent, right? If you're a seller who is committed to selling, not just a time-wasting kite flyer, but someone who's actually committed to selling, make sure you get a conveyancer who gets you contract ready, and have that in place before you go and choose your agent. Okay, for a lot of the longest reasons, right? That is just impartial, free advice. And if you don't have a conveyancer you trust, use my guys. They're fantastic. They're not cheap. Cheap is not good when it comes to moving house. They're not expensive either. They're just not cheap. Okay, avoid cheap conveyancers like you would avoid cheap agents. Gotta go. Thanks, guys. Lots of love and luck to everybody. Apologies for the rant, but I hope we helped get the message through. Please share this video with sellers so that they understand why they've been convinced wrongly about their property.